Hello, hello, hello. It is me, Terrible. Time to review the first round. Maybe a little bit of the second, I don't know. But mostly the first round of the NFL draft. So, no visuals really for this one. You don't have to see my computer screen. I'm just going to kind of read through them. So you can just sit back and chill. Alright? Obviously, number one, Cam Ward to the Titans. Very obvious for a long time. Travis Hunter went number 2. Very obvious as well, but what we did not see coming was the Browns traded with the Jaguars. Jaguars moved up from 5 to 2 to take Travis Hunter. So they ended up moving down. The Browns. Let's go look at the official trade, actually. Browns Jaguars trade. Yes, ASMR typing. Yes. Let's see. What was it exactly? Yeah, 5th pick, 2nd round pick, which was number 36, and then a 4th round pick, number 126, and then and a 1st round pick for next year. Wow. Okay. I remember seeing that the first time, but I did forget about that. That's quite shocking. But yeah, to move up 3 spots, got to give up some 1st round picks. Guess they think they'll be pretty good next year. Yeah, they got the number 2 pick. They swapped 4th rounders and then a 6th round pick. So, wow, that 1st round pick, that's crazy. I forgot about that. I remember that when I read it, I was like, oh wow, they really want to move up 3 spots there. Excellent pick, excellent trade for the Browns, I gotta say. Jaguars, I like it. I like the move. You're just like, you know what, we gotta do something, and I don't mind it at all. And then Giants, yeah, they ended up going Abdul Carter, even though they're a little logjam there, but they'll make it work. Kayvon Thibodeaux, they're keeping him as well, I guess. I think they picked up his 5th-year option or something, so it's all good there for the Giants. They got plenty of studs on defense, that's for sure. Yeah, and then Will Campbell at number 4 ended up being the first O-lineman on the board, so solid pick for the Pats. Maybe I was kind of hoping they'd trade down a little bit. If only they had picked 2, they could have went from 2 to 5, and then probably got Campbell anyways. But yeah, then the Browns. You know, it's funny, so many mock drafts had the Jaguars taking Mason Graham at 5th, and he did go 5th, but to the Browns. So I had Tyler Warren. I thought they were going to go for an offensive stud. Just picked the completely wrong one. That's okay though. Yeah, they got Travis Hunter. And then the Raiders ended up taking Ashton Jeanty. Easy pick there. Same with the Jets pick, Armand Membu. He ended up going number 7th, so they got 2nd best tackle on the board. And then you have the Panthers. I had them getting Mason Graham because he was going to drop a little bit because Jaguars took a tight end, but yeah, he ended up going 5th anyways. And then the Panthers, the one mock draft, I did have them picking Ted McMillan because it's not a bad pick. You finally get Bryce Young, his number 1 stud receiver, and he's a big guy, so Bryce, can look over the lineman, chuck it long to him. Should work out pretty well. At number 9, I went with Shedeur Sanders to the Saints because I thought all the leaks were saying that, by the way, the last video, it was actually a joke video in case anybody didn't get that. I did that last year, so some people got the joke again this year, but yeah, that one was a joke. The mock draft from before that just says regular mock draft or whatever, that's what I'm going off of. That was my actual thing. So yeah, the fake one, I had Shedeur going number 1, which ended up being pretty funny with considering what happened. But yeah, I thought the Saints, they were linked to him for so long. So I didn't like the pick. I just thought that's who they were picking. So yeah, they went with Kelvin Banks Jr., which the funny thing is I had Banks going 10 to the Bears, so I had pick number 10, but he ended up going at 9, so that's pretty close. Bears ended up taking Colston Loveland, who not surprisingly, was the first tight end off the board. I mean, I say, not surprisingly, Warren everywhere seemed to be mocked as like the top tight end, but it's like, it also seemed like, everybody was like, well, Colston Loveland, he's also pretty good too. So I never thought it would be crazy if they were swapped. So now that we see that happened, yeah, like I said, I don't think it's that crazy at all. And then, yeah, I had Jahdae Barron going 11th to the Niners. They ended up going with Michael Williams, which I think Tankathon had that right. Some places had that right, so disappointed that we got that one wrong. But yeah, they go edge rusher instead of corner, which I guess makes sense. And then Tyler Booker ends up going 12th. I think we had him drafted in the 20s. We'll see him then. But yeah, the guard from Bama, Cowboys get him instead of Ted McMillan, who was already gone anyways. And then you have the Dolphins. They took Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle. I had them taking Walter Nolan, so I got the position right, just not the right guy. Not the right guy. Michigan really killing it with the defensive tackles in this one. And then at 14, I had Colston Loveland going, and it ended up being Tyler Warren, so just wrong tight end there. But yeah, the Colts, it seems like they were very keyed in on getting a tight end early in this one. A lot of mock drafts had them getting a tight end, so worked out well for them. That's for sure. And then we had the Falcons. The Falcons ended up with Jalen Walker, and that was my pick as well. I had them getting Jalen Walker, so to get the 15th pick right, I feel pretty good about that, because that's after 14 guys go. So, yeah, like I said, feels pretty good. I had Jod Campbell. He has the injury, but I had him going to the Cardinals. He ends up going a little bit later in the first to the Eagles. And, yeah, I had the Cardinals getting him. They ended up with Walter Nolan, the D-tackle, who I had going at 13, so kind of close there. And then the Bengals, I had them getting Michael Williams, because I didn't know he was going to go at 11. All right, give me a break. But edge rusher, they ended up with Shamar Stewart, another edge rusher, so kind of close there. And then, yeah, Greg Zabel, the tackle guard, depends where you look. He's a lineman. He can play anywhere, apparently. But it looks like he'll be, guard center. PFF has him listed as a tackle, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, Seahawks got him, so I got the 18th pick correct. That's pretty good. I think anything late is pretty good. Buccaneers ended up with Emeka Egbuka. I had them getting Mike Green, edge rusher. So maybe there's something going on with Chris Godwin's injury. We don't know. But clearly they think wide receiver was a serious need. And then you have the Broncos. I should have known. This is like one of those classic, like, every mock draft has this guy going. So this is how you know it's not going to happen. But Mario Hampton, I thought they would go running back. They ended up going cornerback, getting Jahdae Barron at 20. Had him going a little bit sooner than that. But yeah, he ended up 20, so not too bad. And then we have the Steelers. They were linked to a QB. I wasn't buying it. I went with a tackle, Josh Simmons. They ended up going with a tackle, defensive tackle, Derek Harmon, Oregon. So, I got the tackle thing right, I guess. But Chargers, I had the Chargers going with Emeka Egbuka, but obviously he's not there. And they ended up taking Amarian Hampton, so. But I do like that pick. That's a solid pick. I do like that pick. I think it's a solid pick for the Chargers. Then you have the Packers. I was so close. I thought they were either going to go receiver or cornerback. It felt pretty obvious it was going to be one of those two. I didn't take Will Johnson. Will Johnson ended up falling in the draft. I guess the injury concerns are real concerning. But yeah, Packers ended up going with Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas, so close enough. Vikings, I had them getting Malachi Starks, the safety. He ended up going 27th to the Ravens a couple picks later. But the Vikings actually went with Donovan Jackson, who who is a guard, Ohio State guard. So guard is a need, that's for sure. Which is funny because PFF doesn't even have them listed as a need. Like it's not even listed, which is funny. And then the Texans, I had the Texans at 25. I had them taking Matthew Golden, but he's already gone. And also the Texans traded this pick to the Giants. They traded back into the second round. Not sure why they would do that, but I'm sure there was a reason. But yeah, the Giants took Jackson Dart, which quite an interesting pick, to say the least. I don't know. He's just he's got it all. He's got the football QB name. That's it. That's all you need. But his actual quarterback play, very underwhelming. Just nothing really impressive about him. I mean, the one thing that always sticks out to me, I don't even remember who they were playing, but it was a close game, and he threw a pick, but then there was a penalty that brought it back, so he gets, the second chance, immediately throws a pick on the next play, game over. And that was my moment where I was like, oh yeah, this guy, he ain't it. But that's alright. No, it's just one game anyways, but we'll see what happens. I just think it was a surprising one, but you never know. You never know how this will pan out for the Giants. So yeah, that was the 25th pick. At 26, it was supposed to be the Rams. They traded it to the Falcons, who took James Pierce, so loaded up 2 first-round picks, loaded up that defense, got a good linebacker, good edge rusher. James Pierce before the season was very highly rated. So, yeah, and then, 27, the Ravens ended up taking Malachi Starks. I had them taking Tyler Booker, but he was actually long gone at this point. He went much earlier than this. The Lions, I had them taking Shamar Stewart. He ended up going to the Bengals earlier, and they ended up taking a D-tackle anyways, Tyleik Williams, Ohio State. So, yeah, I guess edge rusher wouldn't have been that great for them. Tackle would be better, more of a need. The Commanders, I had them taking an edge rusher, Donovan Ezurusku. Can't even say the name, but yeah, they went with the offensive tackle instead, Josh Connerly Jr. So I guess that's a good pick. Beef up that O-line. Although, it says tackle, but I thought he maybe he's versatile. Maybe he's versatile. We don't know. Then you have the Bills. I had them taking James Pierce Jr. He was already gone. They went with the cornerback instead, Maxwell Hairston. So that works. They needed some corner help as well. So anything for that defense. At 31, Eagles ended up taking Jod Campbell. I had him going a little bit sooner at 16 to the Cardinals. But the injury concerns, not surprising that he dropped a little bit. It's also not surprising that the Eagles grabbed him. They seem to get lucky with these picks. We'll see how he pans out. But nice pick at linebacker. And then, I guess the Eagles and Chiefs swap spots. I had the Eagles just taking an edge rusher, and had Kenneth Grant going to the Chiefs, but he went a lot sooner. And then Joshua Simmons, they ended up taking a tackle at 32 instead. So, yeah, that's the first round. And I kept it at 2 rounds, or at 1 round for this anyways, but just taking a look. Carson Schweisinger, linebacker, he was the first pick of the second round. Jaden Higgins, watch out for Jaden Higgins. Really like that Texans trade since they ended up with Higgins. I think he's going to end up being a stud. Nick Manwari, safety. Quinshon Judkins, Ohio State running back. And then it was the Arizona guard. And then another Ohio State running back, Trayvon Henderson, went to the Pats. Not bad at all. Luther Burden to the Bears. Not a bad pick. Tyler Shugg ended up going to the Saints, so they didn't want Shedeur. It'll be interesting to see the media reports that come out about Shedeur. But I'm not surprised he fell. I mean, there's definitely concerns with him that are more than just his football. So, but he's not important enough. He was a 5th-round pick. He's not really important enough for us to discuss him. No offense, but yeah. But yeah, Will Johnson ended up being pick 47. A lot of mock drafts had him first round. So yeah, he fell a little bit. JT Tuimoloau, close enough. Saw him mocked in the 2nd round in a lot of drafts, and yeah, it's not surprising. That's where he ended up. And then Mike Green, saw him first round in a lot of drafts as well. Ended up being pick 59, so bit of a surprising fall for him, but is what it is. Other than that, I don't think there's anybody else that crazy that fell far. Yeah, none that I see that were like first round projected guys. Jalen Milroe goes in the 3rd. Dylan Gabriel goes in the 3rd. Yeah, so there's that. But yeah, there it is. The first round NFL draft review. Probably could have done this on Friday,